It took Tom 9 days to run a program he wrote himself. Not a new program. His. 214 lines he'd written in 2 evenings, back when it worked. Pointed at a folder of photos, and it sorted them by client in about 9 seconds. 9 seconds to run, 9 days to make it run again. This is Tom, 3 weeks into his comeback, working harder than he has in months and building absolutely nothing. Back up 3 weeks. After the coffee channel died quietly on video 5, Tom hit snooze 11 mornings in a row. On the 12th, he didn't. No speech, no new notebook. He got up, ground the beans, did the slow circular pour, and sat down in front of the laptop he'd been avoiding for 3 months. Coffee and code. The 2 things he was actually good at. It felt like coming home. For about 40 minutes, it genuinely was. Then Tom opened the folder. 12 projects, 12 day ones. He hadn't looked inside it since the night he quit. So he did what you do when you come back. He opened them one by one, like a man walking through a cemetery, reading his own handwriting on the stones. Every project had a README. Every README started with a sentence written by a guy who had no idea he was about to stop. This one solves a real problem. MVP in 2 weeks. Launch by March. Which March? The file did not say. One of them he didn't recognize at all. He read 4 paragraphs of his own writing before he remembered what the app was supposed to do. He'd spent an entire weekend of his life on it. He had completely forgotten it existed. He picked the photo sorter. Obviously, it was the only one a real human being had ever touched. He typed one command to install it, and the terminal turned red. The language had moved 2 major versions. 3 libraries were deprecated. One had been abandoned entirely, final commit 14 months ago, 1 line in the README saying the author was moving on. His developer certificate had expired, and somewhere in the wall of text, a warning informed Tom that he now had 47 known vulnerabilities, which felt personal. None of it was hard, exactly. It was just endless. Day 1, version manager. Day 3, replace the dead library and rewrite the 6 functions that used it. Day 8, he found a bug he'd left for himself in a comment that said, to do, fix before launch. Day 9, at 6:12 in the morning, 1 line finally appeared. 200 files sorted in 11.4 seconds. Slower than before, but alive. And Tom sat there, waiting to feel something. Nothing came. He'd spent 9 days getting back to exactly where he already was. So he did what tired engineers do at the end of a long tunnel. He decided the tunnel was the problem. The code was old. The structure was messy. He knew more now. Wouldn't it be faster, in the long run, to start clean? New framework, the one everyone moved to while he was making coffee videos. Proper architecture this time. Do it right. And for 6 days, Tom coded like the old days. 9-10 hours across a weekend. Headphones on, completely happy. At the end of it, he had a well-structured, professionally organized, genuinely elegant project that did about 60% of what the ugly version had already done 14 weeks earlier. 13 projects in the folder now. Here's what Tom still hadn't seen. And this one is sneakier than the last 4 because from the outside, it looked exactly like a comeback. Episode 2, he searched instead of asking. Episode 3, he made it too big to start. Episode 4, he decided he wasn't qualified yet. Episode 5, he changed the entire domain. This time he came back to the right thing, at the right desk, at the right hour, and did real, focused, difficult work. He just never once let that work touch another human being. 3 weeks, 15 days of coding, 0 messages sent. Not one person on Earth knew Tom was building again. Because a broken dependency cannot reject you. A refactor never says, I stopped using it after 4 days. Tom hadn't come back to build. He'd come back to tidy. And tidying feels exactly like working, right up until you notice nothing has shipped. Then, on a Tuesday night, hunting for an old screenshot, Tom opened his messages. And there it was, Anna, the photographer, the only user he'd ever had. 2 messages. The short, kind one he remembered, the one that ended it. And underneath, one more. Sent 3 days later. Unread. Tom stared at it for a long time before he opened it. She hadn't ghosted him. She'd written him a whole paragraph. She'd stopped using it because it renamed her files, and she needed the original names for her studio archive. But if it just left the names alone, she'd use it on every single shoot, and 2 photographers she'd told about it wanted to try it too. A bug report, a feature request, and 2 warm leads. Sitting in his phone, unopened, for 98 days. Tom quit software over a message he never read. Outside, the car sat under the streetlight, same as always. 3 weeks of comeback, 9 days of read text, 6 days of a rewrite nobody asked for, and the thing that would have actually changed everything took her about 90 seconds to type. He'd been fixing the wrong thing the entire time. Not the code, not the idea, not the platform. The distance. He kept putting distance between himself and anyone who could tell him the truth. Tom did 3 things that night, and not one of them was coding. First, he deleted the second version, the beautiful one. 6 days of work gone, and it barely stung. Second, he opened the graveyard and deleted 11 of the 12. Not archived. Deleted. He kept one, the ugly, taped together, 11.4-second one that a real person had actually used. Then he replied to Anna, 14 weeks late. He told her he was sorry, that he'd stopped for a while, that he was back, and that the renaming problem would be fixed by the weekend. He asked if her 2 friends were still interested. He fixed it on Thursday. It took 2 hours. 2 hours against 98 days. And on the back of the same receipt from episode 5, under the 7 words he'd written that night, Tom finally wrote the other half of the sentence. I don't have an idea problem. I have a people problem. Every episode, every time, he searched instead of asking, planned instead of asking, studied instead of asking, analyzed instead of asking, refactored instead of asking. 5 failures, 1 habit. For the first time in 6 episodes, Tom wasn't hunting for a better idea. He finally knew what was broken. Next episode, Tom fixes the actual bug and finds out that talking to 3 strangers about their photo workflow is harder than 9 days of read text ever was. If you've ever spent a week updating a project instead of showing it to anybody, you already know exactly how Tom felt.